What's up, guys? The puzzle I'm going to be presenting today is objectively one of the coolest things I've designed to date, but first I gotta tell you guys how I ended up making that specific puzzle, so let's get into that first. So you guys have probably heard about canon face-turning puzzles. It's a concept that I've touched on this channel before. So the 3x3 would be the canon face-turning cube, the Megaminx would be that for the dodecahedron, this Jinx Pyraminx, because it's the only one I have on hand, would be the tetrahedron, etc. Basically, a canon puzzle just has the shallowest depth of face-turning cuts that the puzzle can possibly have. And it got its name because the original Rubik's Cube is in fact a canon puzzle. By the way, Guhong is such an underrated cube. Anyway, canon puzzles have been made in various shapes, including Catalan solids like the dodorhombus, or Archimedean solids such as the Hanoi Minx and the Tut Minx. But I wanted to go in a different direction. After finding out about the fake Tut Minx, which is a chamfered icosahedron canon puzzle, I wanted to make a canon face-turning chamfered tetrahedron. And what I found out is that that is unfortunately not possible. Not just infeasible or difficult, but genuinely impossible. So here's why I say that. A chamfered tetrahedron is essentially a 3x3, but with these four vertices truncated down. And the canon cut depth would look something like this. The problem with that is that these corners have to go directly to the core, while every other corner would be replaced with a center that would be like glued to the core. The corner would not really be able to move over it in such a way. So any attempt at creating a mechanism for it just resulted in this corner not having any sort of arm linking it to the rest of the puzzle. You guys following along okay? No? Well, too bad. You don't really need to worry too much about the mechanism reasons for it. The important part is that the shallowest cut depth I could possibly make exist is this. So this is what I ended up creating. It's not quite canon, but it's like the closest thing that can be made to canon. It uses a different type of centerpiece that also moves as the puzzle is turned, so that it can be interchanged with the corners and doesn't cause any issues. This also means that I had to create sort of multiple layers or shells of a mechanism on the inside of the puzzle. So the first thing I did was the 3x3 cuts so that it could move like this, you know. And then on top of that, I added the outer shell, which just allows these faces to turn. This does mean I had to add screws into the inside of the corner pieces. That does mean that these four corner pieces, or you know, the triangular centers, have screws connected to them, but the screws aren't connected to the core. They're connected to an internal corner piece underneath the mechanism. But what's really nice about this is that since it has all the pieces of a 3x3, it can also shapeshift, like this. Very fun. So the best way to scramble this is to just do non-shape-shifting moves at the beginning to only scramble sort of these triangular faces and make sure that none of these groups of pieces are the same between the edges and centers. And then move to the stage of 3x3 scrambling. I would do a demo solve, but I don't really want to. Comment if you want that to be its own video. But it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of like solving a 3x3 just to get all of these 3x3 only pieces into the right spots, because these centers, edges, and corners aren't actually affected by the triangular turns, whereas the 3x3 moves affect everything, so it makes more sense to solve these pieces as a 3x3 and then worry about the triangular letters. You can actually get parity on this puzzle with just two of these triangle hexagon edges being switched with each other. This happens because it's possible to only have one 3x3 center flipped by 180 degrees, which would rotate this piece, which is invisible, and swap these two pieces, which have tiny little differences in stickers. So solving it isn't too difficult. Anyway, I feel like there's one last thing I kind of have to touch on. The fact that this is almost a shape mod of the already existing unicorn cube. As you can see, these two puzzles are basically the same, just in a different shape. This puzzle does this, and this puzzle does this. You can see it's the same types of pieces. Despite this, the unicorn cube actually has more turns available than the horse cube, and that's because on the unicorn cube, you can switch out a corner that doesn't have a triangular layer around it with the corner that does. And once you do that, it'll still be able to turn. This means that all 8 corners of the unicorn cube have axes inside of them that allow these triangles to turn. However, if we go over to the horse cube and we try doing the same exact thing I just did, we will find that this actually cannot turn. These triangle faces here need to have a triangle center in the middle to be able to turn. But other than that, they're essentially the same puzzle. Whether that makes it count as a shape mod or not, I'm not really sure, so make sure to drop your answer in the comments below for me to read later. And lastly, I probably should discuss where I got the name from. The name for the horse cube actually came from Beatles Cuber from the puzzle making Discord server. He suggested that basically, since it's a unicorn cube with some corners truncated down, horse cube is the most sensible name. After all, if you take a unicorn and you remove the corner, it becomes a horse. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. I'm still in a subscriber race. We are losing very badly. So, please subscribe. If you have any Cuber friends, make sure to advertise the channel to them. And keep an eye out for the future because I have several very cool designs and a couple very big designs to show you guys in the future. And on that note, this is Lord of the Cubes signing off. Bye.